Alright, today's lesson is a culmination of things we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. It's called Interpreting Linear Relationships, so I want to know that you all can interpret all the things we've been doing. Slope, y-intercept, intercepts, ordered pairs. And on this note sheet, there are 3 different ways that I'm asking you to do that on, so you can complete a graded assignment. The first example is about a hot air balloon, and I give you a table. And it says it represents the height in feet y of the hot air balloon as it descends over time in minutes x. Letter A says find and interpret the slope. Well, when you're given a table, the way to find the slope is to pick 2 ordered pairs. So I'm going to pick the ordered pair 0, 750. And the second ordered pair I'm going to choose is 25, 0. So I'm going to use the slope formula. M equals 750 minus 0 over 0 minus 25. That gives me 750 over negative 25. And then you want to simplify that. When you simplify it, you get negative 30 over 1. So, I'm going to come up here where it says find the slope. I'm going to put negative 30 over 1. And we learned how to interpret. When you interpret, it's always the y's over the x's. So this was height in feet over time in minutes. And this is about a hot air balloon. Now, since the hot air balloon is descending, that's your negative slope, I'm going to say. The hot air balloon descends 30, and that 30 is feet every 1 minute. So when you write your sentence and you're interpreting, make sure you interpret both numbers. Remember, you can always pause this video to catch up if I'm going too fast. Letter B, find and interpret a y-intercept. Remember, a y-intercept is when the x is 0. So when you look at your table, the y-intercept is right here. So that is 0, 750. This means before the hot air balloon descends, that is describing the 0 minutes before the hot air balloon descends. It is 750 feet in the air. Okay? Y-intercepts. The next one says find and interpret the x-intercept. So remember, an x-intercept is when the y is 0. Given a table, you look for where the y is 0, and we're going to write 25, 0. Now, I'm not going to say before now because 25 is minutes, so that's after 25 minutes. That 0 means 0 feet in the air. So what does that mean about the hot air balloon? The hot air balloon is on the ground. And then the last question here says, what does the point 15, 300 mean? Well, you have to realize that 15 is x, and x was time in minutes, and 300 was the feet in the air. So I'm going to say, after 15 minutes, the hot air balloon excuse me, is 300 feet in the air. example goes with the table. The second example, we've seen this a couple times. The graph below shows the amount of air left in Drew's scuba tank in cubic feet, which is Y, in terms of times a minute X. Again, find and interpret the slope. Now when you have a graph, you can use the counting method. There's a point here, and there's a point here. Well, some of you will count down 4. This is not down 4. So be careful if you're going to use the counting method. That's really down 40 because the y-axis is going by 10. So I would encourage you, if you're going to make a mistake by counting, just pick 2 ordered pairs. 0, 4, 6, 0. And then you can do the slope by the formula method. 40 minus 0, 0 minus 6. That is 40 over negative 6, but it always has to be simplified. And that simplifies, whoops, sorry, I put a 3. Go back. Go back. There we go. Negative 20 over 3. So, when it says find the slope, I'm going to put negative 20 over 3. It's negative, so something's going down, and this is talking about Drew's scuba tank air. So I'm going to say Drew's scuba tank is decreasing by 20 cubic feet of air every 3 minutes. Remember to interpret both numbers in the positive or negative. Find and interpret the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point on the y-axis where the line crosses. That's 0, 40, 0 minutes. So before Drew scuba dives, he has 40 cubic feet of air in the tank. I hope you're understanding this because you have to do this on your assignment that you're going to bring back for me for a grade. Next, find and interpret the x-intercept. Well, the x-intercept is the point where it crosses the x-axis, and in this case it is 6, 0. So this would be after 6 minutes, Drew runs out of air in the scuba tank. And then we have one more question. It says, how much air is left after 4 minutes? Well, typically you can go over to the graph and you can look where 4 is and go up where it crosses the axis, but I can't tell where that is. I don't know. But we do know an equation. We learned slope-intercept form. So if you have a slope, which is negative 20 over 3, x, plus the y-intercept, you can take that 4 and sub it back in for x. So you put in your calculator, you do negative 20 over 3 times 4 plus 40, and you would get about 13.3 cubic feet of air. Okay? If you have any questions, email me. There's one more on the back. Let's turn the page here. It says the equation below represents the amount of money in dollars Chris has in account Y over a period of time in months X. So the first thing I would say is interpret what this Y is. That's the amount of money Chris has in an account. And the X is time in months. And if you look at that equation, it's in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So letter A, again, find and interpret the slope. So the slope is going to be 50 over 1 because the slope is the coefficient of x. This is positive, so something is increasing, which is Chris's account. So we would say Chris's account increases by $50 every month. It's always the y over the x. The next one says find and interpret the y-intercept, which that's in slope-intercept form. So the y-intercept is 0, negative 350. 0 means no time has passed. So before Chris's account increases, he is, now think of a negative word with money. You can either say owes or is in debt. I'm going to say he's in debt. He is in debt $350. Questions, email me. The last two says, find and interpret an x-intercept. Well, when an equation is in slope-intercept form, there is no x-intercept. So to find it, you have to make y 0. So we put a 0 where y is, and we're going to solve this equation for x. So I add 350 to both sides, and I get 350 equals 50x. And I divide by 50, which is just like dividing 35 by 5, and I get 7 is x, which means the x-intercept is 7, 0. And interpreting means after 7 months, Chris has $0 in the account. And one more. It says, at what month does Chris have $200? The 200 is what y is, because y is the total money in the account. So again, we're going to substitute this back into the equation. And we're going to solve for x by adding 350 to both sides. We got 550 equals 50x. We divide by 50, and you get 11 is x. So that's 11 months. I hope this helps you. You have a graded assignment. Do your best. Send me questions if you have them, and I'll try my best to help you. Good luck.